And until next time, keep on fishing. All right, got that finished. Time to upload it to YouTube now. All right, that's another successful episode uploaded. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Harry and I are going out to Verona Docks at 5 a.m. and I'm feeling really good. I think I'm going to take a little power nap and I'll be ready to go. And we're going to get to the spot before anyone else does and go for some catfish. It's just going around docks to go fishing, and my name's Jake Workmeister, and I love fishing. So after a quick trip to McDonald's and some coffee, I was ready to go with Harry, and honestly, this is the only real action shot that we got. We both got skunked, not even a bite. And Harry was throwing lures as I was using leftover cut bait from the bluegill that I had on our last trip. And I think that the issue is I'm freezing the bluegill to keep them an extra couple days and then thawing them out. Now, I let them soak in amino acids overnight, but apparently it still just wasn't enough. There's something that happens whenever the fish is frozen, as a bait fish anyway, when it's frozen and thawed, that the fish just don't like. I've seen guys, pull in fish with the frozen cut bait. I personally have never had any luck doing it. Maybe the issue is just thawing it out. Hey, if you happen to know, leave some comments, let me know, because I'm wasting fish parts here, and it's just not working as bait. So next time I do this, it's going to be live creek chubs, more than likely. So I stuck around for 4 hours in total, actually closer to 5. And as you can see here, the film was going the entire time. Nothing. nothing at all. Plenty of bait fish, plenty of minnows swimming all around, but that was the only action I saw as far as fish goes. So the lesson is that sometimes the early bird only gets the worm. Well, at least I could work on the B-roll from Darren's pond from the other week. At least I would if I didn't accidentally delete the video file because I was half asleep this morning. Well, I might be an amateur clown. Let's talk about two professional clowns. Over the weekend, these two gentlemen were caught cheating at a walleye tournament. Apparently, they thought that they could stick, I believe it was 8 pounds of egg weights into these walleye, along with finished walleye fillets, and they didn't think that anyone would notice. That's cute. So, to the best of my knowledge, they've now been arrested on felony fraud charges, and since even non-fishermen know of this scenario, these two pretty much just wrecked their entire lives. So, bottom line, don't cheat. Don't cheat. Especially don't cheat in a sport like this where you got a lot of hunters and fishermen. The genres pretty much overlap. These guys are extremely lucky to be alive, to be frank, and it goes to show that everyone else at this tournament showed a lot of restraint. Good for them. But in better news, look at all the memes we got out of this. These are hilarious. But anyways, back on to more catfishing. And I went down to Carnegie Lake with some dough ball. Now, unfortunately, my GoPro had a little firmware fault where I thought it was running, it was not. So I'm basically out here for up until the last 15 minutes. I'm here thinking that I have camera footage running and don't. So that's that. But I do have enough of this stationary footage, and we'll cut that down to keep it interesting. In short, it was a pretty productive day. So my gear today includes one GX2 with 20-pound braid and a nylon steel leader. And I went back and forth between a couple hooks before finally settling on a 3/0 circle. And the other rod I'm tossing around is getting snagged there. The only snag I had all day, popped it out, is that old Walmart rod that I have with older Shimano Sienna reel. Really smooth combination. I'd like that for bass, and it has 10-pound monofilament on it. Now, at Carnegie Lake, this year in particular, it seems like they stocked more channel catfish than bass. And as I'm tossing it around and watching both setups here, I'm getting much more of a reaction on a dough ball than I am on any lure that I could think of that usually works here. So we just let nature take its course and then shifted to our targeting accordingly. By the way, when you have waterfowl getting frightened and flying off in a flock like that, best thing to do is to just let your line go slack, put the rod right toward the water, and that way you have very little chance of them flying into any of your line. And believe me, they can. They can pull hard, and they could do a lot of damage to themselves as well as you if you're not careful. So don't try to hook into the ducks or Canadian geese in particular. Now, when I'm casting out a artificial lure and I get a hit on a bait, I usually just let the bait rod go for a little bit because I usually use circle hooks. So the fish isn't going anywhere. He already set himself. So I get the other line out of the way so I'm not tangling it into it and creating more havoc than need be. I'd say this one is about 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds, which is the average size catfish for this particular lake. They stock them yearly, and they usually get to about this size. So let's get him back in and see what else we could catch. At a certain point, I just realized that this was going to be a catfish day more than a bass day. So I took my lighter weight rod, threw it into a rod holder with some dough ball, and used a tiny size 4 mosquito circle hook. And the results of this were actually pretty interesting. I knew that the setup would hold because actually when I used to carp fish as a child, I used to use 6-pound monofilament line with size 8J hooks. And with that, I pulled in some 20-pound-ish carp. So it can be done. Whenever you're doing this, finesse is key. You can't just go ripping it through like you would with 20-pound braid. No, you're going to snap off and lose fish that way. But if you keep your drag loose, let them fight when they want to fight, and just slowly pull them in. Do not deadlift them. Get the net in under them. You'll do pretty good. And 10-pound monofilament could actually take you a pretty long ways. It's been a long time since I fished like this. Oh, and there is a little caveat here. You notice how the dough ball flew off of that mosquito circle hook. Well, it's the same issue that you're going to experience using a smaller gauge wire with a rubber worm, in that when the fish bites through that, the thinner gauge wire just cuts right through it. Such is the case with dough ball as well. So what I do in this case, what I didn't do in that last cast, but what I'm doing here is I'm making sure that I'm packing the bait around the swivel snap too to get more surface area to keep everything on. Of course, you can't go whipping it out. And that's a big reason why I like the larger circle hooks to begin with. There we go. So we'll just set that down and let both of these ride out and go from there. Not surprising to me, the mosquito circle hook was more accepting to more fish than the 3/0. And reason being, smaller mouths could take in smaller hooks, whereas they detect that 3/0 a little bit more cautiously. And I'm imagining at this point a lot of these catfish have already been caught, so they're a little bit more hook shy than they would be in, let's say, the river itself. And this one was a little bit bigger than the previous. Using the 10-pound mono, I definitely felt a difference. And that's kind of the cool thing. If you're targeting smaller fish, use lighter weight gear because it just makes it more fun for you. And let's get him back in and go for the next. Now we're coming upon prime bite time. And you know that because of how quickly the fish hit or begin hitting once the bait's actually into the water. And we're just going to watch this. Upon the cast, it will take less than 2 minutes to actually get a bite. And it's weird to say, but some of the most fun I've ever had in my life is just watching line dangle like this and waiting for that right hit. You have to do it, try it, and get used to the concept. And once you understand what I'm talking about, you're just as hooked as the fish you're catching. And as you can see, the minnow were particularly lively today, which led to them hitting my line, which led to a couple false hits, if it were. So what I pay attention to is waiting for that rod to actually bend down into the water, because then I know, hey, something of substance is actually here. You don't have just a bunch of minnow picking at your dough ball. At its steepest point, this lake is only about 6 feet deep. So watch what happens when this little dude decides to bottom out. He hits all that silt down below, and you'll see, there it is, that whole little black trail right there. He did that. Most of this is probably about 4 feet deep, if that. So while this is another, probably pound and a halfer, I just want you to know that we're up to 3650 pounds worth of fish. How did I accomplish this? 2 words: lead weights. They're the way of the future. They make you fish more betterer. Just ask these two gentlemen. At this point in time, I've identified this as a pretty large fish. So the big trick here with this more finesse rig is the hook set's already in. He's not going anywhere. I just can't deadlift him out of the water, so I need to make sure I'm getting that net under him in the water. And this advice comes in handy for all you trout fishermen. It's a 30-pound fish with enough egg weights. So this big boy ended up being 7 pounds. And if you take a look underneath his anal fin, he has some monofilament coming out of, well, where the sun don't shine. So this is a previous gut hook that has worked itself through. He's passing it along. And honestly, this is the best way to leave a gut hook fish. Cut your line, let the hook dissolve, let them pass it through. They'll survive. And speaking of surviving, this dude, I don't think this was something brought in and stocked. I think he was actually caught at the river at some point in his life and then put into this lake, because he's far bigger than 90% of the fish in here. Seen a lot of things this year. I've never seen monofilament stuck in a catfish's intestinal tract. He'll pass that through eventually, but man, big fish. Out of here anyway. Oh, got you functioning now. That's that firmware glitch that these 7 whites are known for. Now I'm starting to see why that's agitating, because for God knows how long I thought it was recording. I mean, in one sense, I'm going to be taking off soon, and I only have to cut down everything that's on that camera behind me. So that's nice. But man, that's irksome. See if we could get one more on an actual GoPro cam today. Hi, reliable cam. Hi, reliable cam. Oh, he got it off. He didn't. Got him. I think we'll call it right after this. Yeah, he's a little one. He's a little one. He's a real little one. Surprised he took that hook. That's a size 4 circle. Or a 4/0. Just like keep on netting under him. Yeah, this one went after the biggest hook, and it's hard to tell because everything's so dark at this point, but he's probably about a 1/4 pound. Yep, the smaller the fish, the smaller the brain. That's that. So this wasn't the episode I was expecting, but such is the way of fall fishing. And until next time, keep on fishing. Except for these clowns.